Welcome to the retirement ceremony for Senior Chief Petty Officer Jamie Warwick. I'm Senior Chief Ryan Wilmarth. I will be the Master of Ceremonies for today's retirement. Guests and military members, please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the parading of the colors, the national anthem, and the invocation. Commander Dan Weegriff, arriving. Senior Chief Jamie Warwick, arriving. Color Guard, parade the colors. We are gathered here today to witness the final stage in full and productive 25 years of military service. In addition, we say thank you for our dedication to the shipmate. Thank you for his many contributions, which in their own unique way have made our Navy a stronger, more capable force in our never-ending fight for peace in this sometimes troubled world. Thank you. Thanks for his military dedication hours and personal initiative, and have helped make our Navy a proud professional organization it is today. We are appreciative of you being the chief that has ensured the next generation of sailors is ready to meet the challenges of tomorrow. This marks the end of one phase in Jamie's life, but it starts at the beginning of another. Our gathering today also provides us the opportunity to wish him every success in the future as he looks forward to new challenges and rewards. We extend an especially warm welcome to Senior Chief Warwick's family, his wife Veronica, children Stephanie and Giovanna Warwick, and his grandchildren Preston, Jenkins, Grayson, Stella, and Maverick. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the presiding officer of today's ceremony, Commander Dan Weegriff.
It really is an honor to be here tonight to celebrate such a long career of an outstanding Senior Chief Petty Officer. It is my privilege. It feels like a reunion of sorts of a family. NMCB 22, a lot of representatives here, and the rest of the Navy family. Is fantastic. Thank you very much. As you all know, certainly anyone who's read their program knows that Jamie started his career in the Navy as a Marine. So, hoorah. What does that mean? So, they say once a Marine, always a Marine. And throughout my career, I've tried to understand the different services, and I think the best explanation I've ever seen was a cartoon I saw on Stars and Stripes once upon a time. It had 4 blocks, and had one block for the Air Force, and there was this guy looking out of his cockpit saying, "Sure looks like it sucks down there." And then there's a guy in the Navy ship looking over at shore saying, "Boy, it sure looks like it sucks over there." There's an Army guy on the ground, and he's muddy and a little bit wet, and he says, "This sucks." Then there's the Marine. And he's coated in mud, and it's raining and cats and dogs on it, and he says, "I love how much this sucks." So that kind of explains some of the roots of where Senior Chief came from. NMCB 22 was tasked with improving the life on this little hill in the middle of nowhere in Afghanistan called Sanjare. And that was not a garden spot of the world, certainly not a mecca. And as we got there to do our assessment, they had a couple T-walls, that's just some concrete walls up. They took direct fire a lot, some indirect fire. You took a shower from a barrel, just open the valve and kind of get under it and hope it didn't run out of water. So if it was below freezing, that meant you weren't going to take a shower, even if you did want to get under the freezing water. The food came from a little cart, not amenity laden. So that place, well, it sucked. So you were right at home as a former Marine. That's where I saw him. And we had decided that that place was in such bad shape that none of the Seabees would spend a lot of time there. They would rotate back and forth between the other base we were supporting right up the road. And that was going to work out great. Well, unfortunately, the enemy also gets a vote, and he decided to increase his attacks along that road and plant a lot more IEDs, which is rude in any culture, but he did it anyway. So we were directed by hire that you could no longer rotate your crews. Commander Hendricks back there had to come up with a plan. And when he told me that Senior Chief was his pick to lead the team at Sandre, I knew we had the right man. Absolutely. So it was a few more months before I was able to go back out there and see what had happened. It was probably 4 months later, maybe less. And there was nothing out there. It was just a barren hill. And I refer to this as the debt that moved a mountain, because they used bulldozers to scrape angles in rock that I'm sure it was all within the design specifications of all of the equipment. I don't know how they did it, but it was nothing short of amazing. And the base commander, who was an Army guy, was so proud of all of the changes that had been made that he started explaining what they were planning on doing next. And he said, oh, no, wait, let me get Jamie up here. So here you have this Army officer that wouldn't even make a decision on his base without talking to the CB. That told me volumes on what was going on there. They had showers set up, they had laundry set up, they had hot water, and Senior was tasked with building them some housing units. Well, that wasn't good enough for him, so he built housing bunker units. So they could stand any sort of direct fire, indirect fire. It was nothing short of amazing what you built out there. And they had pushed out a whole new perimeter. They literally moved a mountain to create parking areas, and it was amazing. And he started talking to me about, and he gets this gleam in his eye. He was so excited. You've probably seen it around Christmas. And he's talking to me about this MWR facility they built for the troops. And we walked in, and it's the PlayStations, and they've got sofas, and they've got games. And where you got sofas in the middle of Afghanistan, I will never know. And I don't want to know, because if the IG asks me, I can still tell them I have no idea where he got those sofas. But it was amazing. And the coolest part about this was you were so excited. You said, my troops stayed up all night building this. What they did is the 112th Infantry was going out on a patrol. So they were leaving the base, and Seabees took it upon themselves to start construction and just push through, build all day, all night, all through the next day, just rotating through, continually building, and make sure by the time those guys got back from patrol, where there was nothing, all of a sudden there was this big facility for them to relax. It was amazing. And the Senior Chief turns to me and says, no, I didn't even have to ask them to work all night. I said, well, okay, from my perspective, yeah, you didn't, because you'd already been leading them for months. You showed them the way, and that's the kind of leader Senior Chief is. And that's why I'm so proud to have served with you. It's fantastic. Normally at this point, I would let you know that you don't have to worry about that phone call in the middle of the night saying, hey, you got to suit up and put on your gear and go to undesirable parts of the world. But worrying about that phone call has never really been part of your forte, is it? You're not worried about that call. So, Veronica, you no longer have to worry about him getting that phone call, because as of today, that's not an issue. For all your years of sacrifice, Veronica, you and your family, only you know the number of birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, sporting events that Senior Chief has had to miss, and it's tremendous how much you've shared him with the Navy and with the nation, and for that, thank you. Your support is what has made him the great leader he is today. Senior Chief, your days of sacrifice are coming to an end. You're turning over a new chapter. You're going to attend all those events now because you have absolutely no excuses. I think in Texas, opening day of whitetail season is the only possible excuse for missing anything. Other than that, you're there, and I could not be more excited for you or prouder to have served with you. Hoorah, Senior Chief.
We're here to celebrate the life and career of Senior Chief Jamie Warwick. Wow, that kind of sounds like it's a funeral, not a roast. So we're going to fix that. By the way, you asked for this. Literally asked for this. To describe Senior Chief, he's a 20-year-old Marine / CB stuffed into a Friar Tuck body. If you don't know him, he has a huge heart full of honesty and compassion. He's up for anything and will be right beside you when it's the right thing to do and when it's the wrong thing to do. But most importantly, he really loves his beer and his mead. He's one of the rare ones, the embodiment of what's called a chief's chief, a mess leader and someone that all chiefs go to when they need the chief. It's true that Senior started off his career as a U.S. Marine in the Revolutionary War, and that he was the one to show John Paul Jones just how to fight. But it wasn't until he was a little bit smarter, a little bit wiser, that he realized that the Navy's lingerie department wasn't quite flattering to his body anymore. And he decided to join the Seabees. You asked for this. It was with us that Senior Chief shined and found his true calling. In Afghanistan, Iraq, Djibouti, Camp Shelby, and Djibouti again. He proved that on any honeypot, porta potty, porta john, or bathroom, his name could easily replace Chuck Norris's, and it'd still hold true. I met Jamie when we got off the plane in Djibouti last year, full of spunk, ready to go, bouncing through the room. My first reaction was, this is going to be one hell of a ride. And that drinking Ensure spiked with rum also gives you energy. I wish I would have had some inclination about what was really going to happen last year. To say it was a perfect storm is an understatement that describes both the trials and the team. We had Djibouti's worst storm that hit landfall in recorded history, and while the rest of us were in the eye of the storm working to save what we could, Senior Chief was out there in his floaties, splashing around in flooded ditches and taking the wrecker out mudding, showing that he really knows how to have fun in a true CB hurricane party. As a team, it definitely was a highlight of my career to have served with you. And it was truly a dream team. With none of the jokes aside, Senior, you are more of a husband, father, leader, mentor, friend, brother, and on occasion sister than the rest of us. We have come to you for support and guidance, and regardless of what was going on in your life, you held it in and would take care of our needs. On behalf of all of us, I say thank you, and it has never, ever gone unnoticed. The Navy and the Seabees are not losing anything today. In fact, it's better than when you joined because a piece of you is in every single one of us that you have touched. From the new Seabee, the lost lieutenant, the frustrated commander, and the crusty captain, you are and will always be the chief. A source of confidence, wisdom, experience, honesty, and heart. You can step aside with pride. And I say aside because you will always be a CB, the chief, and you are transferring rather than leaving to a new NMCB with Veronica as the CO. Brother, we motivated, vented, laughed, cried in pain, bled, and drank together and travel to some of the nicest pools in the world together. All I can say is, I'd take a trip anywhere with you. And thank you, congratulations on a much needed and deserved retirement.
Senior Chief Jamie Warwick, front and center. HMCS Rosie Barwalt will come up here and read the letter of appreciation.
Dear Veronica, I want to thank you for your steadfast support of your spouse that enabled their service to our country. While your sailor is balancing family, civilian occupation, and Navy Reserve commitments, you serve as steady, supportive partners to those who protect and defend our great nation. Navy Reserve spouses serve worldwide in more ways than anyone could ever imagine by helping families and friends through the stress of a deployment, caring for families in need, and most importantly, being there when they are needed. Your service and support is priceless to our nation and the Navy Reserve. Through mobilizations, annual training, drill weekends, and many other countless duties, your support of your sailor ensured the world's most powerful Navy's ability to conduct global operations and ensure crucial support of our goals and objectives. Additionally, you provide your local Navy Reserve community with much needed support it takes to help our Navy Reserve family flourish. Your ability to support family readiness groups, deployments, readiness training, returning warrior programs, and community outreach makes our Navy Reserve better every day. Again, I want to thank you for your unparalleled support and invaluable service and extend to you a well-deserved retirement. Signed, Commander Dan Wygrove.
I was not looking forward to this day, and at the same time, I was looking forward to this day. Babe, we're going to take a little walk through memory lane. Jamie and I met in California when he was a Marine. We had a mutual friend that told me if I went out with him, I would be the luckiest girl ever. I wasn't interested in a young party, excuse me, let's take that part out. I wasn't interested in a young Marine. You see, he's younger than I am. So I guess you could say I was a cougar before it was cool to be a cougar. Well, after many phone calls from him and me saying no, I finally gave in. It was the best decision I had ever made. We dated a while. I got to know you and your Marine Corps buddies. We had a lot of fun. You got to know my girls, Stephanie and Desiree. You treated them as though they were your own. You were, and are the best dad I could have ever asked for them. We had a beautiful Marine Corps wedding. I couldn't be happier. I was living the dream. I had the best husband and father to my girls, living only 2 miles from the beach. In Huntington Beach, California, it was perfect. It was time for your Marine Corps career to come to an end. I remember the day you came home and said, I took a job in Texas. I was speechless. I mean, I knew you were getting out of the Marine Corps, but I never expected you to take me from the place that I called home, and I never thought I would leave, sunny California. You told me there were 2 options, Wichita Falls, Texas, or Garland, Texas. I did my research, and I saw that it snowed in Wichita Falls. I was a sun and sand kind of girl. There was no way that I would live somewhere that it snowed. I told you that if you chose Wichita Falls, that you were going alone. So, off to Garland we go. We moved here December 13th, 1996. It was a pleasant 70 degrees when we arrived. The next morning, you woke me up to inform me that there was snow on the ground. Of course, I thought, he just thinks he's being funny. Then I saw the look on your face, and you said, come look. Once again, I was speechless. Fast forward 5 years, September 28th, 2001, our anniversary. Today is our 23rd year anniversary. And right after 9/11, you came home to tell me that you joined the Seabees. I had no idea what a Seabee was. I had to do my research once again. I learned that they were part of the Navy. You told me that you told me that you were going to be doing some sort of construction. I was confused. I mean, you sat behind a computer at work. Why would you want to do construction? You said, I don't want to do what I do every day at work. I want to do something different. Well, it certainly was that. After learning much about the Seabees, I said, you're going to have to go to Iraq and rebuild airports and such. And you said to me, no, I am not going to have to deploy. I believed you because, after all, you know more about the military than I did. Fast forward 4 years, 2005. You stayed home from work one day, and I wasn't sure why. You walked into my office and let out a heavy sigh. I just knew. You said, I got orders to Iraq. This time I wasn't speechless. My response to you was, oh no, you didn't. You told me you were not going to have to deploy, and I believed you. I was beyond angry, and I was not going to have any part of this, and I didn't. No pre-deployment orientation in the base theater, no family day send-off. I didn't even know where the base was or how to get there. Besides, I had a 6-year-old that was going to start kindergarten, one that was going to graduate, and I needed that to be my focus. So off he goes to Iraq with a crew called NMCB 22. Who were they? What were they? And why are they taking my husband? There was no internet back then, no FaceTime, no Skype, so I was lucky if I got a phone call once every 2 weeks. You would stand in line for hours for a 10-minute phone call. I could hear the guy in the background hollering the number of minutes we had left to say hi, bye, and I love you. After you were gone for 9 months, NMCB 22 was coming home, arriving in Port Hueneme, California. I decided to fly out there and surprise you and welcome you home. Well, now that that was over and out of the way, all was good in the world. No more deployments. Well, 2009, another set of orders, this time to Afghanistan. 3 months training in Gulfport, Mississippi, 9 months in country. I decided to get involved. I volunteered to become the FRG, the Family Readiness Group President. I got to know and love one of the best groups of spouses that I now and will forever refer to as my CB sisters. This was also the year you were selected for chief. After the announcement, it seemed like everything was moving fast. I got a call from another chief that said, I have something for you that explains about being a chief wife. I was new to this. All I could think of was, I guess things are about to change. I received an email. I wasn't expecting the attachment I received. It was a manual titled, How to Be a Chief's Wife. I started to read it, and before I could even finish, I thought, what is this BS? They obviously don't know me. I didn't get to see you or speak to you for what seemed like a month. I was told you were in Chiefs training. The night of the pinning, I was very proud of you, and to be able to slam those anchors to your chest and call you chief, because in my eyes, there was no one more deserving. We had the biggest send-off family day event ever, too big for NCBC Gulfport to hold, so the local Air Force Base allowed us to have the event there. We had over 400 families attend. The Air Force Base commander asked me if we were all from Texas. When I told him yes, he said this was the biggest family day event we had ever had here, and was impressed by the support of the NMCB 22 families. Believe it or not, this was one of the best times I can remember during an deployment. From the car washes we had to raise money for our family day events, to starting a food train for a family in need, getting to Gulfport, waiting for your return, while we only to find out that a volcano had erupted and would delay your return. We didn't know how long this delay would be. So some of the spouses got together and went to dinner, about 20 of us, to decide what our next move was. And then when we were done with dinner, we found out somebody had in the restaurant paid our bill. Definitely memories of a lifetime. Thank you, CB Sisters. In 2012, you tell me that you have taken orders with a crew called NMCB 15 and will be leaving once again for Afghanistan. I wasn't excited that you were going with a new battalion, but I was okay, and I said, when do you leave? I was more than ready. This deployment came and went. When you returned, NMCB 22 decommissioned. Part of me was excited that you would be going back to NMCB 22, so I thought. You served with CBMU 303 for a short time, and I was okay with that for selfish reason. They were headquartered in San Diego, and I took advantage of the opportunity to go back to California when you drilled so that I could see my family, especially my grandbabies. And of course, soak up some West Coast rays that I have been missing for a long time. When it came time for you to be reassigned, it didn't go according to my plan. I was not happy. I had conspired with a commander who knew that we knew that would possibly one day be the CEO of NMCB 22, and the plan was that he would make you his command master chief. This was the plan. 2015, a set of orders to Djibouti, Africa came in for 1 year. This was the longest deployment yet. You were going as an IA, and we had just moved into a new house and still had not unpacked. I had just started a new career as a realtor. There would be no 3-month training, no family day, or any of that. I was on my own. No worries, I had plenty of deployments under my belt. Thank goodness for FaceTime. While you were gone, Master Chief quotas came out. I was ready for you to tell me you were selected. I didn't even care that you would be pinned over there. I was shocked to find out that the quota was 0. No way, it had to be a mistake. That was a long year. I made the best of it. You were missing out, and I was doing things that I knew we should be doing together, like touring college campuses with our daughter and parent orientation. And the birth of our granddaughter, Stella. That year, you arrived home just in time to be there for Giovanna's graduation. By now, I was over deployments. I was ready to spend my birthday, our anniversary, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and every other occasion together with you. Or just be able to talk about current events and share my day, or just general chit-chat. I was ready for you to go back to NMCB 22. I knew they were only deploying air deads. Instead, you were assigned to NAFAC. 2 years to go by, 2018, another set of orders to Djibouti, another year. This time I was a single empty nester. Giovanna was off at college. Cool, the whole house to myself. I was bored. This was going to be a long year. I was okay with this because I knew this was good for your eval. I knew for sure you would be selected for Master Chief this go-round. You called me to tell me the quota was 1. Well, in my mind, you had to be the one. To my surprise, it was not you. No way. When you got back from deployment, you said you were ready to hang up your uniform. I will be honest, I was crushed. I had a plan. If you'd only let me be your career counselor. I knew what was best for your career. After all, I was in this too. After explaining to you how we still had one more shot and you should stay in at least 1 more year, I could hear the weariness in your voice, and you said, if I do that, I will be taking the spot of a good chief that has more years left than me and to serve and is deserving, and I cannot do that. I knew you didn't feel you weren't deserving, but you felt it was the right thing to do. Babe, I want to thank you for helping me to see that I too can do. Through all this, you have taught me to have self-confidence in myself, even when you were thousands of miles away and I thought the world was coming to an end and falling down around me. So in honor of your retirement and our 23rd year anniversary today, I would like to give you this gift from me and the kids. And I would also want to thank Chief Roy Aguillon, who brought my vision to life. He made this himself by hand. If you will please turn around. So these are the coins you gave me when I asked you to please give me your special coins. And so yes, you are getting them back. Roy took this a step further and included your Marine Corps emblem. So happy anniversary, babe. Babe, tú eres mi vida, mi corazón, y mi amor para siempre.
Cheers. HMCS Beryl will now read the Navy Wife.
Creating the Navy Wife. When the good Lord was creating Navy wives, he was into the 6th day of overtime. An angel appeared and said, "Are you having a lot of trouble with this one? What's wrong with the standard model?" The Lord replied, "Have you seen the specifications on this order? She has to be completely independent, must be sponsored to get on base, and have the quality both of mother and father during detachments, be a perfect hostess to 4 or 40, run on black coffee, handle emergencies without a beeper's manual, be able to handle the flu, birthdays, and move a house if need be on a moment's notice. Have a kiss that can heal anything from a child's torn valentine to her husband's weary day. Have the patience of a saint when waiting for the airplane to land, and have 6 pairs of hands." The angel shook her head slowly and said, "6 pairs of hands? No way." And the Lord answered, "Don't worry, we'll create other Navy wives to help. Besides, it's not the hands that are causing the problem, it's the heart. The heart must swell with pride in her husband, sustain the ache of separations, beat on soundly and strongly when it's too tired to do so, and be large enough to say, 'I understand,' when she really doesn't, and say, 'I love you,' regardless." "Lord," said the angel, touching his sleeve gently, "come to bed, you can finish this tomorrow." "I can't," said the Lord, "I'm so close to creating something unique. Already I have one that heals herself when she is sick, can feed 3 unexpected guests who were stuck in the area due to bad weather, and can wave goodbye to her husband from a hangar or runway and fully understand that it is important to our country that he leaves." The angel circled the model of this Navy wife very slowly. "It's too soft," she sighed. "But tough," said the Lord excitedly. "You cannot image what this woman can do or endure." "Can she think?" asked the angel. "Can she think? Why, she can convert 1400 to 2 p.m. and work full-time while pursuing multiple degrees." Finally, the angel bent over and gently ran her fingers across the model's cheek. "There's a leak," she pronounced. "I told you that you were trying to put too much into this model." "It's not a leak," said the Lord. "It's a tear." "What for?" asked the angel. "It's for joy, sadness, pain, disappointment, loneliness, and pride." "You're a genius," explained the angel. The Lord looked somberly at the angel and replied, "I didn't put it there."
I'd like to talk about the history of the shadow box. According to some accounts of the Navy history and traditions, when a sailor retires and is departing the ship for the last time, it is considered bad luck for a sailor's shadow to touch land before he does. Thus, the sailor's shipmate would construct a sturdy box, handcrafted, of the finest materials in which to display mementos of the sailor's accommodations, thereby symbolically creating a shadow of the sailor. The box safely contains the sailor's shadow until it's safely ashore, at which time the shadow box can be given to the sailor in a presentation ceremony. Historically, when a sailor would join a ship's crew, he would join the ship for his entire career. During the sailor's voyage to port calls around the world, he would collect many trinkets, souvenirs, and reminders of his travels. Naturally, as a space aboard a ship was not at a premium, these items intend to be small. When the sailors piped ashore for the last time, his shipmates saw to it that would hold all his possessions that had been collected during those many voyages, and would simultaneously symbolize the sailor's career and time aboard ship, or in this case, land. Ideally, a shadow box served not only as a reminder of the achievements and accomplishments, but also as a simulation and culmination of his career. Shadow boxes are born in ancient naval traditions that's still practiced today, both in the militaries of the world and throughout the civilian life. The shadow box is laden with items that represent Jamie's accomplishments. The shadow box is typically laden with personal items and depicts of advancements and achievements. These may include personal awards, medals, duty stations, insignias, rating badges, and uniform devices that indicate progression through various military ranks, including time served in the Marine Corps. The national flag and branches served are placed inside the shadow box to symbolize the country and military service that has benefited from the faithful service of the recipient of the shadow box. On behalf of your fellow shipmates, Jamie, we present you with the shadow box. Within the shadow box lies your most honored and cherished possessions, including the flags of the United States of America, the Navy, and the Marine Corps, representing a lifetime of valiant and faithful service. Jamie Warwick, post for Old Glory. Flag detail, post.
I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically over great institutions of learning. I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident, I am arrogant, I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is held a little higher. My colors are a little truer. I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am worshiped, I am saluted, I am respected, I am revered, I am loved, I am feared. For more than 200 years, I have fought in every battle of every war. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Argonne Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, the jungles of Guam, Okinawa, Tarawa, Korea, Vietnam, and in the heat of the Persian Gulf, and a score of other places. Long forgotten by all but those who were there with me. I was there. I led my sailors and Marines. I followed them. I watched over them. They loved me. I was on a small hill in Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-torn, and tired, but my sailors and Marines cheered me. I was proud. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of country that I have helped to set free. It does not hurt, for I am invincible. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of my own country, and when it is done by those with whom I have served in battle, it hurts. But I shall overcome, for I am strong. I have slipped the surely bounds of earth, and from my vantage point on the moon, I stand watch over the new frontiers of space. I have been the silent witness to all of America's finest hours. But my finest hour comes when I am torn into strips to use as bandages for my wounded comrades on the fields of battle. When I fly half-mast to honor my sailors and Marines, and when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving mother at the graveside of her fallen son or daughter, I am proud. My name is Old Glory. Long may I wave, dear God, long may I wave.
I will now read the retired Cheifs Creed. You have on this day experienced that which to all of us who served in our Navy. I say our Navy because your departure from the Navy in no way determines your relationship by the law and traditions. The U.S. Navy retirees are always on the rolls, ever ready to lead their service when the need arises. The respect that you have earned, the Chief, was based on the same attributes that you will now carry into retirement. You should have no regrets. Do not view your retirement as an end of an era, but rather as orders to a new and challenging assignment, to a form of independent duty. Remember well that you have been and will always be an accepted member of the most exclusive of all fraternities, that the U.S. Navy Chief Petty Officers. The Chiefs Mess salutes you. Your retired chiefs welcome you. I wish you a traditional fair winds and following seas. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce the guest of our honored guest, Senior Chief Jamie Warwick, to the podium.
I can do it. I think I can. Senior officers, fellow chiefs, enlisted personnel, family, and friends. First, I want to know how much it means to me to see each and every one of you here. Thank you to the individuals that made my 25 years a success. Some of those people aren't here today. Some of you, when I wrote this speech, I didn't think we're going to be here today, and you showed up, and I really appreciate that. For friends of the last 25 years, as well as some new friends and mentors I've gained in the last 2 to 3. Some of the closest of which are here today. I would have never gotten to this point without your help along the way. Friendship is something I hold near and dear. I'd much rather have a few close friends than 1,000 fair weather friends. I told Veronica once that I define a friend as somebody that will come help you out in the middle of the night when you blow a tire. You know, and everybody here I count in that boat. If you didn't already know, if you didn't catch it in the countless other speeches that we had here today is Veronica and I's 23rd wedding anniversary. On this day, 23 years ago, she said, "I do," probably with no idea with what she was getting into. She loved being a Marine Corps wife. That didn't last very long. Various reasons why, but that didn't stay with it. I got out, I became a civilian. I missed it so bad that I came back in. Once I came back in, through each and every deployment, she's been there by my side. She's my biggest cheerleader and probably drove me more than any single person to live up what it means to be a sailor, a chief, a father. Her support of not only my career, but of NMCB 22, every unit that I've been attached to, is one of the key factors of my success. We constantly hear how your family must be supportive to succeed. Veronica is a living example of that. Thank you for everything you've done and every sacrifice you've made. To my daughters, Stephanie, Giovanna, Desiree, who's not here today, you've grown to be beautiful young women. Each is different and unique as your mother. So someone not familiar with the military once asked me about the ribbons that we wear on our chest. Jokingly, I said, this one's for Miss Birthdays, this one's for Miss Christmas, this one's for Miss Births. It was a Freudian slip. It wasn't said in jest. I realize, and unfortunately, only so much today, that these ribbons we wear aren't for us. They aren't for the service members. They're a testament to the sacrifices that our families make. Those special occasions and tragedies that I could not be there for. I thank you for that, and this day is more about you, Giovanna, you, Stephanie, and your mother, than it is about me. I'm often asked which I preferred, the Marine Corps or the Navy. I can say today that's like asking me, do you prefer water or air, apples or bananas? I wouldn't trade a day of either career. The friends I made in both, and the person that both branches have made me, I wouldn't trade for anything. I want to make a special thank you to my wife for this day, and also Senior Chief Ryan Wilmarth. Without their countless hours of work over the past few weeks, this wouldn't have happened. This day was important to Veronica, a day she didn't want to see come this soon, yet she started planning years ago. She stole some of my thunder in her speech, but she really did want me to stick around a while longer. But yet she knew that this day would come, and she had planned for it way back then. Senior Wilmarth, Ryan, Roy. Through this, you have been the epitome of a chief and a brother, and man, I thank you for this. You have really come through, and I thank you. So the hardest part of this is how do I close this? How do I close my career? I looked through a lot of writings for inspiration, farewell remarks from some of my role models. If those of you that know me, one of my biggest role models is General James Mattis. We just talked about him today with Gunnery Sergeant Embry over here. He had a unique experience with him. But in his closing remarks as Secretary of Defense, he quoted President Lincoln, a message that he sent to General Ulysses S. Grant in a one-sentence telegram. It read, "Let nothing which is transpiring change, hinder, or delay your military movements or plans." So General James Mattis reiterated those comments in his farewell message on 31 December 2018. He further went on to say the military remained in the best possible hands, that his confidence was unwavering in those relieving him. I do feel the same. The military is not losing anything with me leaving. I feel confident that I've passed on. I've trained leaders that will continue on with what I've done. I think they'll surpass what I've done. We can only do better than those that trained us. I have no doubt that you have the watch. It has been my honor to serve my country, serve my brothers in arms side by side, and may God hold you safe through the years. Thank you.
Boatswain's mate, stand by to pipe the side. Shipmate going ashore. Little history about it. This order has been passed down from naval ships from the 1500s, Spanish, the French, the English, the Dutch, yes, all navies of the world use the boatswain's mate, side boys, and a call to bring aboard and send ashore its officers, visiting officers, dignitaries, and VIPs. The side boys would haul the ropes and raise and lower the boarding platform so all officers would not have to climb the rat lines when going ashore or to get aboard. This honor has extended to visiting officers, dignitaries, and port officials. It was not uncommon for the commanding officer of the ship to order up the jolly boat, a crew of 8 strong, back side boys and boatswain's mates to send an old shipmate to their shore. Retirement, home, never to sail on the naval ship again. All hands on deck was passed. Speeches were made about the great victories, battles fought upon an open sea, raging storms weathered, and voyages to distant and strange lands with port of calls others only dreamed about. When a fine sword, a brace of pistol, a rifle, a musket, or maybe a chest of fine wood bound in brass was presented to remind him of the crews and ships with which he had served. The boatswain's mate and side boys would stand tall. The retirees would request permission to go ashore, step to the platform, and the side boys would lower away. As the jolly boat pulled away, the gunners would fire and salute from the ship's main battery. The retirees sat in the stern sheets, going ashore. Today, our Navy has given most of the pomps and circumstances the honors, traditions, and ceremonies back to the history. Nevertheless, we still have to stop all engines, lay about smartly, and drop anchor to pay honor to one of our shipmates going ashore. We honor the years served, guidance, the leadership, and friendships, and the expertise that this shipmate has freely given all these years. Senior Chief, retired, will now read the watch.
For 25 years, this CB has stood the watch. While some of us were asleep in our bunks at night, this sailor stood the watch. While some of us were in school learning our trade, this sailor stood the watch. Even before some of us were born onto this earth, this shipmate stood the watch. In those years when the storm clouds of war were brewing on the horizon of history, this CB stood the watch. Many times he cast an eye ashore to see his family standing there, needing his guidance and his help, needing that hand to hold during times that were tough, but he still stood the watch. Senior Chief Jamie Warwick stood the watch for 25 years. He stood the watch so that we, our families, and our fellow countrymen could sleep soundly at night in safety, knowing that he stood the watch. Today, we are here to say, Senior Chief, the watch stands relieved. Jamie, you stand relieved. We have the watch.
Will all guests and military members please rise for the benediction and remain standing through the end of the ceremonies. This evening's benediction will be delivered by Chief Wong.
Let us pray. Father God, we thank you as Jamie takes his last steps as a senior chief in this Navy. But it is not his last steps. This is the beginning of new steps of a new life. We pray that you would continue to give Jamie and his family guidance, that Jamie, though retired, will still be the chief, and that he will show newer generations on how it's done, how to get it done, and how to never quit. We ask you to bless his family day in and day out. Renew their spirits, Lord. Let them not be weary. Let them always be strong. Bless this family, his family and the military family, and those he has served. Continue to shine upon him, Lord. We ask this in your name, in the Son, your name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
All military and retired militaries, attention to orders. From Commander, Naval Personnel Command, to Senior Chiefs, CB Combat Warfare, Expeditionary Combat Warfare, James Warwick. Retirement orders and transfer authorizations to retired reserve status. Per the Chief of Naval Personnel approved your request and authorization, your transfer to retired reserve status effective 1 October 2019. Your dedication of service to the Naval and your country is deeply appreciated. Signed, DP Howell. Boatswain's mate, the sailors, pipe this sailor ashore. Senior Chief, Jamie Warwick, departing, retired, departing. Chief Petty Officers, man the rails. All retired, everybody. All chiefs, retired and currently. Senior Chief, Petty Officer, retired, Jamie Warwick, and family, departing.
To make it last, I'd put it in the hellos and goodbyes that went too fast. There's all the things you said, they're playing in the music in my head, they're spinning on a record.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our retirement ceremony. Please join in congratulating Jamie and his family on his retirement.
So make it fast or make it slow. Oh, let it die or let it grow. Yeah, let it grow. Because new shoes will someday be